This is how white trash I grew up. My mom, when I was sick, like I was home from school with a fever, she would give me Sprite. She would be like, "Here's as much."
Did it work?
No. Mugs are a thing because I don't like hot coffee. I still drink. I will make coffee at my house
Like iced coffee.
and then ice it after. I'll make it hot and then put it in my fridge.
Do you make a pot?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll make a pot and I will
You fridge it.
pour it into my carafe and fridge it.
In your carafe. What
got
is
a
it
carafe.
in your life? You sound very organized.
My wife has just whipped me into.
Okay,
I'm
yep.
a piece of garbage that has been like
Molded.
I've been molded to be an acceptable adult,
I feel
but
like
barely.
yeah, being in a relationship, that's what that is.
I've surrendered a lot. Like my wife is responsible for making me an adult man, in many ways.
Me too. Or not your wife. I'm sure she would.
No, she would crack the whip. But she's also like got her proclivities that make her like a lunatic.
I would love to.
And
Are you willing to share?
I mean, she's just very anal. Like one thing that she does all the time, like if I'm drinking a LaCroix, let's say.
Now, is that a common occurrence?
Very common.
Okay, so not Waterloo. We're a LaCroix team.
I do the delivery service. This is how lazy I am. I get the LaCroix mix bag delivered, so I don't like committing to a whole pack of one flavor. Give me one. Okay. There's a service that gives you one. It gives you 30 LaCroix of one flavor a piece. So it's 30 different flavors of LaCroix.
There's got to be like 5 in there you don't like.
Oh, for sure. But you got to choke through your key limes. You got to choke through your hibiscus and your cherry blossoms. But here's the thing. For every one of those, you discover one where you're like, oh, apricot.
Oh.
Pretty good.
It actually sounds good.
It's great.
I don't drink carbonated beverages.
It's if I could never drink water again and only drink LaCroix, I would do it.
Seriously?
I love it.
I
want it to hurt a little. That first...
That's what I'm saying.
The first gulp of LaCroix, I want it to hurt.
It burns.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get... I want to get to the tea because
Yes.
I know that everybody is waiting for us to drink this super hot tea. Okay.
I feel like our pig pen lines have cooled down.
Let me see.
Hot?
I could do it. No, I could do it. I blew a little bit. Are you good?
Not roasting hot.
No,
Yummy.
not roasting hot.
Very yummy.
For those steaming at home, this is Bird & Blend's Honeycomb cookie dough, which actually tastes like cookie dough.
It's got a cookie dough essence.
Yeah.
It's got cookie dough tannins.
It's got legs. For those steaming at home, it's a Rooibos tea. So steep it for as long as you want. I did it for about 6 minutes, and it's on a boiling temp. I love this. I never would have thought that I would like it.
No, I also didn't think it. I thought just a honeycomb, you can't go wrong. You know, a little honeycomb, no prob. But
really
cookie
like
dough, you're just like, what's in there though?
Yeah.
Even like cookie dough ice cream, you're like,
oh, I love it.
I like cookie dough ice cream, but it's like, whatever those little things are in there, that ain't
No.
cookie dough.
Probably not.
It's a little chalky sometimes. Sometimes it can be.
What is it?
I mean, I don't know, but I doubt that if you pop them little cookie doughs out of the cookie dough ice cream that you could actually make a cookie out of it.
Probably
You know
not.
what I mean?
Here's
I don't know.
I have a question for you because you and I both spent time in Chicago, and I've already admitted this on the pod, and I got a little crap for it last time, but I'm happy to admit it again. I never had a Portillo's cake shake. Have you had one? Okay. Is it as good as... No.
No, it's good. It is good.
Okay, because it sounds like you and I align a little bit on liking sweets here, and we both spent time there, so I'm curious.
Sweets, I enjoy sweets.
Okay.
I enjoy, obviously, Chicago cuisines.
Sure.
I do think, my hot take,
Uh-oh.
Chicago, magnificent food city beyond the Chicago staples, too.
Okay.
Like, it has just anything you want. It's got a million amazing restaurants, Chicago does.
There's a butt coming.
There's a few regional things that they're known for and that they are willing to die on the hill of. Deep dish. We freaking get out of here. You got to get the deep dish.
You're talking about Lou Malnati's.
Lou Malnati's. Give me Lou's.
Giordano's.
Giordano's Pizza. And then you got Chicago dogs. Don't put any ketchup on my dog. You know, I want the inedible sport pepper stem. I want the full pickle spear, the celery salt, because a full Roma tomato slices. Because it's just the laziest hot dog ever. I love it. It's a great dog.
Sure.
But the beef, I'm saying, when people are like, you gotta do the beef and dip it to where the bread it loses all integrity and it's just a goop. And it's just, I'm like, it's really, I'm sorry. I'll get it. I've had it 1,000 times. I've had the jardinera. I've done it every way. It's not anything to act like is good.
I kind of agree with you.
It's not, the Italian beef is not that great.
Here's my Chicago hot take, and we can move off Chicago. My Chicago hot take, Big Star's good, but it's not great.
Yep.
Like, well, I don't know why we all
There's
died.
better Mexican food.
150%.
It's the Americanized. It's the hipster Mexican food where it's like if I'm going, I want Los Tres Panchos. I want like one of the little mon pa spots.
I love those. And then you know what? Take me to Violet Hour. That's what I love. I love.
Yeah, Big Star's overblown.
Oh, 100%. I as I got older, and I think when you're younger, you go to any bar, right? Any bar is a good bar when you're younger. As I'm older,
Chicago, there's a lot. There's like is it stumbleable distance from any train line?
Yeah,
let's go.
Is it the Division bars? Sure.
Does it close at 4 a.m.? That's another.
Okay, so there was legislation that was pitched in there was L.A. and Venice legislation, which is where I live, which is talking about keeping bars open until 4 a.m. And I am telling you, as an adult, I was like, let's vote against this.
Please no.
Let's all vote against. And I'm sure everyone
They're
was
only
like,
bad bars.
No, they're never.
A lot of those. Sorry, I'm cutting you off.
No, cut me off.
I'm saying the 4 a.m. bars, even in Chicago, there's certain bars that are
hang
close
up.
at 2. There's certain bars that close at 4. And there's only so many 4 a.m.s out there, right? But the ones that close at 4, like even as a 23-year-old when I was in Chicago, I was like, do we really need to be here right now?
No.
And they're bad bar. Like you're only going to be there from 2 to 4.
And
like,
you're there for one reason and one reason only.
To try to fuck.
Yeah.
Because you failed to fuck until 2.
And then you have to wonder, for the people that failed who are going there, do you want to pick from the... Because here's the thing. You are now admitting that you're part of the failed batch, but you're picking from the failed batch also.
Yeah, you are the problem, and you are going to be around exclusively other problems.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
I'm telling you, I lived, I think, 5 blocks from the hang-up, and I never once went to the hang-up.
You just, in general... 4 a.m. bars, you just simply don't need to go there. If you didn't do whatever you needed to do by 2, you know what I mean? It's kind of a like nothing good happens after midnight kind of thing. Nothing good happens after 2.
I kind of and don't feed the gremlins after midnight, and that's what you're doing by going to these 4 a.m. bars.
And they are, again, the worst bars. There's a reason why no one is there before the other bars close.
Oh, yeah.
You're only there because this is your only option left. The Owl, Estelle's in Wicker Park.
I remember that.
Estelle's is pretty cool, though. Actually.
But I was... So anytime I'm on the road, you can find out quickly what is the bar that, like, gets a little... Anyone that's open really like, gets a little... like not a little, a lot weird. I remember I was doing... Where was I? I was in Portland, and they were like, let's meet at this bar. And it was, like, 11:30. And I was like, sure. Are they going to be open? And they're like, oh, yeah, it's open till 3. And I was like, okay. And I went, and it just had all the energy of, like, the place you don't want to be.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I've noticed I end up in those bars a lot. When comics in other cities want to hang out, is always at that bar.
Yeah, because that's the place where they're most at home. And you're like, okay, these are the saddest people in this city.
I know.
And this is where the saddest people hang out.
Yeah, or the people that come after the shows who are always just like... You know, that was so good. We're all going for drinks. Yeah, why don't you come? I'll buy you a beer.
It really all depends. Like for me, I'm a singing boy.
A lovely singing boy, yes.
You know what? I'll take what I can
Sultry
get.
tones.
But in general, if I'm going to go do a comedy club gig in any given city, I have to be aware that I got to be able to sing tomorrow. So
especially if you're doing a multi-night, yeah.
Exactly. So if I'm there Friday and Saturday, I generally, after the show Friday, I go home. I'll go to the hotel or the comedy cottage that they, whatever's nearby. You know, the condo.
Yeah.
Whatever's nearby, wherever you are. I'm not doing anything on Friday night, but usually Saturday, depending on how early my flight is out, I might tie one on. I might have a little fun.
I gotta tell you, the older I get, the less likely I am to go out.
Me too.
I am very much like anytime.
But if I am, it's gonna be Saturday.
Oh, sure. My thing is like, so I used to sing, and what I noticed is like if you're singing, I had a situation where if we were
Throat
on tour,
coat.
oh God, so throat coat,
Not a real thing.
dangerous, very dangerous. You
Li-
do
it-
you
you
don't
lie
want to
to
do
yourself.
it. You don't want to do it pre, because then you're just killing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But no, what I would do is like I would have to adjust my voice when I was talking if we were on tour. So instead of talking here, which is how I normally talk, I would talk up here because this way it put less pressure on my vocal cords. And I was like, I don't want to do that for a whole fucking night. I'd rather just go back to my room and be silent.
I've learned the hard way many times. I just know how dumb I am, and if I drink enough on like a Friday night, I know I will yell at a loud bar and destroy my voice and wake
Everyone
up. And
does.
my voice is like this in the morning. I'm like, I have to sing tonight.
Have you ever had to do that?
Oh, I do. Every once in a while, I still do it. Like
You've had to like get on stage and just you're barely hanging on.
I in general, I'm usually able to rally enough to get through some songs, but there have been, I can count on one hand, sometimes when I've in my younger days
Sure.
made some poor decisions on a Friday night and just like blew the doors off my voice and so I like really had to growl through my song. And I used to write more vocally challenging
You're
things.
like, I'm not doing that anymore.
I'm really not. I'm really like I know now not to like I don't need to be, Mariah Carey out there.
People, I wonder about this with musical comedians. So you tell me, but like, I feel like they are there. If you are doing it percentage wise and someone's coming to see you, I would imagine it's 70% or even 80% for the actual jokes and 20% for the music. So it's like the joke being funny is so much more important than whether or not you're showing a lot of crazy vocal range. Is that wrong?
It's not wrong, but in terms of like people, like you were breaking that percentage down of people that would come see me.
If someone's coming to see
or
like
the enjoyment,
Luke Null, I think like people are like 80% want to like are much more interested in like this guy's fucking hilarious than they are like this guy's vocal tones are just extraordinary.
It being in any way a decent song is sugar on top. But I used to be
Okay.
way more focused on making it a good song. I used to be like I would sacrifice the joke if it made it a catchier tune.
I do, but I do feel like your songs are catchy. I've heard a bunch of your stuff. I always find it to be catchy.
It's kind of you to say, but I've entered my Picasso Blue period.
Oh, great.
Where now I'm like, nah, fuck that. I just, as long as it's like good stand up, if it's musical, great.
My thing is, if I'm you, my question is, if you're, so you've blown your voice out, I think you said like 5-ish times. Do you have enough of a non-musical set where you can say for like night 2, I'm going no guitar?
The answer is no.
yeah.
The answer is, I think I was just in Tucson. I took a buddy down there with me to open for my friend Tom Fell. Love Tom Fell.
Wait, I know Tom. Yeah,
He's great. He's a Chicago guy. My old roommate. I lived years in Chicago with Tommy. But I took Tom and we were just having a good time. And I was like, man, I can feel my voice is getting a little strained. So I'm like, I told him, I said, I got to be careful. And he asked me the same thing. He's like, would you be able to do an hour of no music? And I'm like, no. The answer is no.
Yeah.
But if I had to, gun to my head, like how much non-music could I do? And I think probably like 25 minutes.
That's still pretty good. No?
I could get, it's fine, but not if they hired me to do an hour.
If they heard you do an hour, that's not a great situation. But like, yeah, that's not bad. Like when you first started doing stand-up, were you immediately, because admittedly, it's weird that we cross paths and I don't fully remember crossing paths, but we were in Chicago at the same time. Were you always doing musical?
As far as stand-up goes, pretty much, but I was way more, during my Chicago days, way more improv. There was a time when in Chicago, Second City, IO, and Annoyance all kind of went dark to open new spaces and to double their stages.
I think I might have not been there at that point.
It
What year
all
was
happened
that?
at the same time. This would have probably been 2014.
I left in 2014.
They all went dark at once, and CIC was still going, and so our show randomly got cool.
Hey.
And it was like, and we did something that no one else did, which is that we didn't close out our own show. We would go in the middle. So we would bring in a young, hungry team that would put some meat in the seats.
Sure.
And then we would book some all-star older teams that
Like
people
a
would
TJ
want to
and
see
Dave?
to close us out. And so we would go in the middle. Young team, headliner kind of thing. And it worked out.
You were mainly doing that.
That was, yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. Because I associate you so much with stand-up.
I was doing stand up in Chicago. I was doing the Shithole. That was my was my spot.
I remember it well.
I love the Shithole. Those were my guys. But I was there. Those were my stand up haunts. And I was, I did other stand up, but it was a lot of like weird variety shows and people pouring gallons of milk on themselves and weird shit.
I'll tell you the weirdest sketch I ever did on a variety show. I wrote a sketch, and to this day, I don't understand why I love it so much, but there is a deep part of me that loves this sketch more than anything. And it was called A Touch of Pudding. And it was it was me and a girl came out named Jillian. It was me and Jillian came out. Jillian Mueller. I don't know if you know
Jillian.
Yeah. We both came out and we were both wearing yellow raincoats. And did you know Britt Belsheim?
I know. I didn't, not as well as I know Jillian.
Okay. Well, so Britt was also, it was the three of us, and Britt came out and she's like, pudding? And we both used ridiculous British accents. And we were like each enjoying this thing of pudding. And I was like, oh, you've got to try some of this. And she's like,
you
okay.
have to commit to it now.
Yeah. I was like, oh, you've got to try some of my pudding. My pudding is delicious. Here, let me give you some. And I would just like take it and I would flick pudding at her face. And then
a messy bit.
Yeah.
if you will.
And she would do it back to me. And it just kept escalating until we were just like taking big amounts of pudding, walking over and just putting it in each other's faces. And to me, that was one of my favorite things I've ever done, but truly the amount of comedic value was just
bare bones.
So little. It was just accents and pudding humor.
You know what? Sometimes that's all you need.
But no, I definitely had that moment. I think like that is a tough part about Chicago is like you get into the comparison game.
Sure.
And then you start watching those things and you're like, oh, shit.
But no, the beautiful thing about that place is that no one's really making money there.
That's true.
And so you're kind of, when you're there, you're kind of all doing it for the love of the game, which leads to people taking big swings because there's not the LA like there's some agents in the crowd and or there's some industry.
I kind of hate that.
I do too. But I mean, I think in general though, good if you're good, it doesn't matter where you are. You eventually the cream rises to the top. I lie to myself and say that. I don't know that that's true, but it's a big enough scene that you don't run into everyone. Too.
Yeah.
It's small enough that like I know 900 people that you know.
Yeah.
But it's like we never. You know what though? It took me like you were already doing stuff in a point where 2014 is when I feel like I was like finally everywhere. Like
everywhere.
Or was like I didn't do Second City. I didn't take the classes there, so like I wasn't in over there. And the other places it's a little bit more like you got to go through all of IO before you can perform.
But IO is probably, I mean, I don't know the full story about this with you, but I imagine IO is what led to SNL. Like IO
they gave me.
That was the theater. I don't think that Second City was as much the theater.
They both were, but I know.
I like to tell myself they weren't, so it makes me feel better, but yes.
But they would go see, every time they would come into town, they would see both.
Yeah.
They would see IO and they would see Second City, but IO got to do way more of an SNL style audition where it's just you doing 5 minutes. Whereas Second City, they would just go see the Second City show, which isn't the same.
No, it's not. But I think there was a good relationship. For those that are listening, there's a woman named Sharna who maybe still does. But I remember when she ran it, I went up to her and I was like, hey, like, how are things going? She's like, good. I was like, great. Love that. So
what if,
what if like and I like tried to maneuver in and she was like, she was really sweet about it. She's like, not this time. And I was like, okay, awesome. But
that doesn't seem that sweet.
Well, it wasn't, could have been meaner.
Could have been mean.
And I was like, cool. No, for sure. But like, what if it like were?
What if this time I was though?
What if it was like this time it just like we changed it and we did do it?
What if we goofed around and I was in it?
Let's get like silly. Noah wants me to get on there. I would always say shit like that as a joke. Yeah. And she'd be like, I'll bet he does. I'm like, Noah G, man, he's blowing up my face. He goes, when are you auditioning?
He loves his wine spritzers.
I say stuff like that. I remember, and I just remember thinking in the back of my mind, I was like, this is the only thing that matters.
Yeah, I mean, weirdly though, that's the thing in Chicago. Everyone wants to audition for SNL, and none of them watch it, including myself. I didn't watch it.
I'll tell you right now, I watch it. I watch it all.
You?
I watch every week. You don't watch?
I worked on the show. I can never watch it again. It's just too triggering.
Okay, I respect that.
Yeah.
I respect that. And you never watched it before, so you've just never watched.
Well, I watched like the Comedy Central reruns back in the day, but I wasn't like
those are great.
Currently watching.
They don't ask, I don't think.
No.
No. Can you imagine if that were part of it? Hey, so do you watch? And you go, yeah. And they go,
Well,
what was the last sketch that you really liked?
there's a big thing of like, there's guys who've worked there and written for 20 years that have like an encyclopedic knowledge of like what's been done. And they kind of go like, I'll like float an idea or something. And some of the writers that have been there a long time will be like, yeah, someone did that like 4 years ago. And I'm like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, but it's like not even necessarily something that went. Like, what didn't even, maybe it only went to dress or something. But it's more embarrassing when it is like a sketch that someone did 7 years ago. And they're like, well, you might want to go look at this. Like, there are guys there that just know, like, you're going to be pitching something that we've kind of have already done.
I would just try and befriend one of them and be like, okay, so here's the 6 things I was thinking about writing this week. Are any of these done already?
No, you pretty much are doing that.
Jesus.
You're like being, or you'll like be working, and they don't know you that kindness either. They don't need you to know that you're fucking up.
I feel like when it comes to comedy, my relationship, my work, I often don't know when I'm fucking up. And I think I learn quickly in the worst ways.
You know?
Definitely in my relationship.
I think in general, shame is a great teacher. Sometimes it's like, it takes like, there's a handful of times that have been like burned into my memory where I like did or said something cringe that was like, maybe not cancelable now, but like if I were to tell you the exact thing, it's basically like I said something that was like, a friend of mine was like, not cool.
Yeah, I remember.
And just that, me, like a friend who I respect doing a, whoa, not cool, or like, that was very cringe, like hurt me so bad enough in the moment that it taught me, I'm like, oh shit, like I can't say that anymore.
I remember when you used a hard R.
Right, when I opened up the pod by saying the hard R 11 times back to back.
Yeah, I thought it was weird. And I was like, I never thought Luke would say the N word. For those listening, we cut it all.
We cut it, but if I had done it 13 times, it would have been fine.
No, we would have
funny again.
We would have left the 13th one. That's where the humor is.
That's where it gets good.
But we didn't do that. I want to keep talking, but I want to get to our first segment. Are you ready for the Newly Friend game?
This is the first segment.
This is the first segment.
Great, love that.
So this first segment, this is called the Newly Friend game. It's like the Newlywed game, but we're friends. You're going to use your board. Okay. So the way this works is I'm going to ask you a question. You're going to write down your answer.
Okay.
Yo, go ahead. You look excited.
I was going to say, you do this with everyone. How often do you have to talk about how bad handwritings are? Every time?
No, actually, shockingly not that often.
All right.
Yours is quite bad, is what you're saying.
Mine is very bad. I had a college professor, and this is one that's burned into my memory. I turned in a paper, and afterwards he said to me, you have the messiest, legible handwriting that I've ever read. And I said, if it's legible, pal, you didn't need to chime in on it, did you? If you can read it, it's kind of being like, you're the hottest, ugly idiot I've ever seen. I'm like, if I'm hot, just say hot. You know what I mean? Like, if you can read it, I don't need your editorializing.
I wonder what it looks... I mean, well, I guess I'm about to see, but I would wonder what it would look like. It's messy but legible.
You can read it, but it's not... It's bad.
It's not great.
You know what I'm trying to get, which is the purpose of written language is to convey a message. And if you can read it, then we don't need you chiming in.
I respect that.
Professor, associate professor.
What was his name? I know you call him out right now.
I honestly don't even remember.
I never liked
That's how much I learned in your class, punk.
Yeah. Listen, you dumb bee. All right. Here's my question for you. Okay. Now, this is a bit of a cheat because I learned this about you. We were on a show together. I don't know what it was, a month or two ago, and I learned this about you. Okay. That you spend a certain amount of time every year in New Orleans.
I do. A month a year.
Which, by the way, I need to just go at some point for a food perspective, and I'm going to message you about it.
So you let us know. We have a spreadsheet.
So here's what I'm going to ask you. And don't say your answer. Write it down. What is the food that everybody needs to eat when they go to New Orleans?
This is going to disappoint you.
Flip. You said hot dogs. I said po' boys.
Here's the thing.
Okay. Did you know I was going to write po' boy?
I figured you would go a po' boy, a jambalaya, a gumbo, a beignet.
Okay.
Those are the classic New Orleans things.
Sure.
But if you're on Frenchman Street or if you're on Magazine Street and you've been drinking and you're looking for a good old-fashioned, easy, cheap, good place, Dat Dog. Dat Dog, they make some awesome, a million different kinds, but it's a great place. The duck special, the right way, with the frickin' blackberry sauce and the grilled onions on there.
Did you say blackberry sauce?
Yeah, dog.
I don't even.
It's a duck sausage that they put little bitty bacon bits and a little chipotle sauce on there, and a little blackberry sauce, and a little and a caramelized onions on there. The shit is so good. It's the best hot dog I've ever had, and you gotta get it. It's the best.
I think we need to clip this, send it to Dat Dog.
Dat Dog, at me, bro.
Yeah, this would be. I mean, they could use this.
They don't need any more people co-signing Dat Dog. They know. But go get you a Pim's cup.
I love the Pim's cup.
Take it to go. That's another thing. Dat Dog, take it with you. Walk. It's walkable. You can bop.
Other than
it's a good vibe.
Oh my God, I'm forgetting that main street. Other than the famous main street, can you just you can drink outside anywhere?
Yeah, you can drink. Open container laws in New Orleans.
Unbelievable.
But word of the wise, don't be taking bottles. That'll get you into trouble.
Has it?
Not me.
Oh,
you
okay.
learn, but they don't. It's open container, but it's frowned upon to be drinking a glass bottle because there's so many broken glass everywhere.
Makes sense.
Get a Go Cup. Get you a Go Cup.
I'm ready. Now I want to go.
But as far as like, this isn't necessarily a New Orleans staple.
Sure,
if I was
but
gonna do
but I'm not. I'm not saying you got to go New Orleans staples.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm going to tell you. We're going to do the same question for me, and I'll tell you this much: nothing you named is what I'm going to write. 1, 2, 3, flip.
Oh shit! Absolutely,
Okay.
shrimp and grits.
So shrimp and grits, I am obsessed with shrimp and grits. And after I had it in New Orleans,
They're
every other
amazing.
shrimp and grits experience has been subpar.
They nail it. Shrimp and grits in New Orleans is an absolute New Orleans staple.
It's so fucking good. And
I should have done that.
I thought you might get it. The other one I said is I had a crawfish omelet.
Yeah.
And it was, I think about it sometimes when I can't sleep. Like, it was truly a magical
right
thing.
by Dat Dog, right next door to Dat Dog. There's this awesome. They do a great crawfish omelet.
Oh, now what is? I'm embarrassed to ask this. What is Boudin?
Boudin.
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 Boudin is not a New Orleans staple. But
Okay.
It is a Cajun food. It's from upstate Louisiana. It is. I editorialized. I said, I'm going to give you credit.
Yeah.
That you know that you were like, when you said this is. I don't know if this is New Orleans, but it's kind of like, I was like, oh, he's thinking about Boudin because that's from Baton Rouge. But Boudin is a sausage casing filled with red beans and rice and sausage meat. So it's basically a sausage filled with red beans and rice.
How is it?
It is unbelievably delicious.
I've never heard. Is it? Am I a lone ranger having not heard of Boudin?
It's not a New Orleans thing, but it's kind of creeping its way in to New Orleans a little bit. More places are serving like Boudin balls. There's different ways to do it, but Boudin in the sausage casing. Let's go.
Interesting.
Hard recommend if you're trying to do some good ass Cajun food.
Now you're writing separately. You wrote red beans and rice.
I thought maybe you're going more high level, just red beans and rice, which it's a New Orleans staple. That's my secondary guess.
I mean, listen, I really like beans and rice. You know, rice and beans, great, into it.
But red beans and rice is more than just rice and beans. It's not, but it is more than, when you say like I like rice and beans. I'm almost thinking like a Mexican side dish.
Oh, I see.
Like a refried beans and
it's a lot more seasoning,
for sure. Yeah, they let it. Yeah.
Wait, so I have to. You put the board down, by the way. That's the whole segment. But I have to ask because now I'm forgetting, and I'm embarrassed because I'm sure you've told me this in the past. Where are you originally from?
I'm from Cincinnati. I'm not
Cincinnati.
from the South at all.
So you're not from New Orleans. I know you went. I think what you went once, fell in love with it, and then you went back. Like, how did all that happen?
Yeah, my wife found some weird random like travel deal, and she used to work for Groupon. They had like Groupon getaways.
Now I know you lived in Chicago. If I hadn't before,
everyone
knew someone that worked at Groupon. Yeah.
During its heyday, they had like Groupon getaways, which were like super cheap tickets, but you had to buy them like a day in advance. So they would be like, if you want to leave tomorrow, you can go down to New Orleans for like $27.
I'm in.
And so we were like, fuck it, because it was like the dead of winter. It was like January, and we're like, let's go down to New Orleans. We went down. We had the worst time ever. We just did everything wrong. We got too drunk the first night. We're puking all day the next day. You can't keep anything down. But we had enough fun when we were down there being like, man, doesn't that look like people doing a second line down the street and marching behind the brass band? We're like, that looks so fun. We saw a couple getting married. They had just gotten married, and they were doing their second line through the French Quarter in New Orleans. We were like, we were still dating at that time, but we were like, if we ever get married, we got to do that. And we did.
You did?
Yeah.
Wait, did you get married in?
We got married down in New Orleans.
No way.
Schlepped all our crusty Ohio family down there. Did the destination thing. We blew it out. Spent all our money. Rented out Marche down in the quarter overlooking Jackson Square, right there in the heart of it all. And had the Cafe Du Monde food truck park at the place we stayed in the Bywater around the bend.
Do you ever intentionally just line up comedy shows in New Orleans just so you have an excuse to go?
I'm literally doing that in July.
Are you really?
Which is a mistake.
Yeah, isn't that the hottest?
It's gonna be fun though. But me and my wife, we did during the pandemic, we're we got to get out of here and just quarantine somewhere else. So we did a month there. Kind of started as we wanted to do an apartment swap kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
And then we just do the month of November there every year now. So we've done it 4 years in a row, and we do it every year.
Would you ever retire there?
I don't know if I could ever do year long there, just because those summers are boil your blood inside of your body and humidity.
You're going in July.
I know. It's going to be fun though. But we go in November, which is I think the perfect time.
Would you, not to make you think about your own retirement, but I'm guessing you would never retire to Ohio.
Fuck no. I'm never living in Ohio again.
So Ohio is the kind of thing where you were as soon as I could get out, I got out.
Correct.
Okay.
My family's from there. I still got love for Ohio, but routinely I have to I'm tired of having to defend Ohio as a place that you would want to spend time. You don't. I spend a lot of time there, and I love it because my family's there. My sports teams are there.
Okay, so you align with the Ohio sports teams. You're a Cavs guy.
Well, I'm a Cincinnati guy, so I'm a Bengals and Reds.
Okay.
But
no basketball.
Cincinnati. No basketball for us.
Okay, all right.
We don't got no team.
Bulls?
I've kind of globbed on to my wife is from Akron, where LeBron is from.
Well, so Cleveland.
Well, we root for LeBron, so he's a Laker.
Oh, I see.
So we root for LeBron wherever he goes.
Okay.
My wife played basketball growing up, and when she was 10, LeBron was 13 and kept score at her rec league games when she was a kid.
There's no way.
And my father-in-law was go over to that kid and get him to sign your shoes. That's the next Michael Jordan. And my wife has her kiddie shoes signed by 13-year-old LeBron. So they're big LeBron lovers.
She's got to get to him and be like, dude, you signed my shoes when I was 13. Can we get a pic?
Oh, I mean, if there was ever a chance, I'm sure.
That'd be so cool.
She would lose her mind.
There's no way that he meets people that got his autograph when he was 13.
Probably not very many. And this was before his ESPN cover that really, when he was in high school. He was 14 when he was on the cover of ESPN.
He was I know the cover you're talking about. He was 14.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's a grown man, by that point.
Jesus Christ. I know. It's weird. I remember
looks like one.
You and I were both on the cover of Sports Illustrated at 15.
I didn't make it till 15.
Okay, yeah. Well, that was a problem. Because I had expectations I would make it at 13.
Because I didn't get pubes till 16.
It's funny, still haven't, and
they're coming.
And I think
you have to pray.
I do. Chest hair came in. It's kind of like the bat signal, so I always feel like I'm calling a superhero every time I take my shirt off.
Do you have chest hair?
I do. Some.
I have the most shameful tufts.
You don't want a lot, I don't think.
I don't want a lot, but I think I want some more than
What do you have?
I have just the saddest little pectoral tufts.
Yeah, but I think if you had to choose between that, I have a friend who has enough body hair that when he gets in the pool, it looks like he's wearing a sweater.
I don't want that.
You'd rather have your thing.
I am more I look like I mostly am the hairless model. Yeah. If you have to, not model, but the hairless version.
I think you could be a model if that's
these
what you
whole rags. Maybe a mullet model, baby.
What made you want to go mullet?
My wife.
She wanted you to go mullet.
Yep, she encouraged the mullet.
How do you feel about it?
I'm trying to go for it. Okay. If I'm doing it, I'm doing it.
Okay.
I think I could get some more volume. I want the curl. I
You're
want
just
it to
starting.
hit. I want it to hit. Yeah.
It's new.
But I don't know. I don't know how long I'll go for it. But I'm right now. I'm going for it.
I'm gonna be honest, and I'm not trying to take her side. I don't think it looks bad.
The mullets. This is the time and place. If you're gonna do it, the time is now.
Because of the time of year, or just the way the world is?
Just where we're at as a people.
Mm-hmm,
there's gonna be the mullet's on its way out already. You know what I mean? And it's if you're gonna do it, you gotta do it now.
I think that in anticipation of a potential global crisis in November, I want to plan something that I can do. I don't think I would do a mullet.
To blend in with the right.
I'm just Yes. Yeah, I want to know how I can march with them as an equal. No, I want
to like, don't kill me. I have a mullet. They're like, all right, we don't know.
Yeah.
He might be cool.
Yeah, I think that's true. There's elements of truth to that. I'm like, okay. But no, I want to do something like, because I think in case the world...
I don't think I'm giving.
No.
I'm like you said, I drove up and you went, you're really going for a Santa Monica look right now.
So for anyone who's listening and not watching, this is very Santa Monica energy.
I drove up like this with the windows down, and you said you look real Santa Monica right now.
Even with the sunglasses, it's great. This is a great look all through.
Going for it.
Because you don't live on this side of town, do you?
No, I'm a Los Feliz boy.
Interesting. Not that I don't love it there, because I do. I always wonder when people say they live there. I'm like, why don't you want to come over here? It's nice over here.
I feel like that. The opposite.
Really?
A little bit. In general, I don't.
You don't like it over here?
I don't like it as much.
You don't want to be by the beach?
No, I don't care about the beach. I like being close enough. Like, I like being Los Feliz distance from the beach, where if I want to go to the beach, I'm making a conscious decision to beach.
I see.
But I see the appeal of being able to go for a little walk and bop down to the beach. But here's the thing, Venice Beach is absolutely disgusting. It is pretty vile. It's like,
we
do you want to go to the exactly?
Yeah.
But I'm saying you're not far away from nice beaches, but like there's some unsavoriness that you get down at the beach.
I think we moved here during the pandemic, and we were just like, okay, like this is gonna be great. And then even throughout over the course of the pandemic to now, it's like we made a choice, and that's fine.
Venice is cool though. There's lots going on in Venice. A million good places to eat.
There's more
Venice
comedy
cool.
starting to come into the West Side. There was not a lot of comedy over here, so it was always like, I would think, all right, I'm gonna go schlep over to Lyric,
right?
To go do that.
Yes.
And that was like over an hour.
Yes.
Hard, very hard.
Yes. And that's why I like being over there.
You're around more of the venues, I would say.
But I perform a lot at West Side, so it's always a bit of a schlep to
you're
get there.
Dealing with the same issue.
I mean, no matter what, you're gonna have to drive in LA, and usually if it's late enough, I don't really care. That's what's nice is like
you're like, book me on the 10.
Yeah, where most of the time, even like depending on where it's at, like if it's 8 o'clock, but I'm not going until the end. Sometimes I'll show up at 8:30, and then it's like I'm cruising. There's no more traffic.
I was talking to Lindsay Adams about this the other day, and I'm so curious about this. I'm going to ask you as well. Do you ever, and there's no judgment here because I want to be clear, I've done this. Have you ever said like, can I go up early? I got to run.
No.
And then you just go home.
No, never.
Really?
They always put me at the end because I play guitar. You either got to put me first or last, just for the energy of the show.
But
in general, I really don't even ever come late. Like I usually come early and I have to stay the whole time, and then I close out and then I leave. So I'm almost. But that's a very LA thing. In LA, it's a competition to see who can go up first and leave.
I don't try to go up first all the time.
Lots of people do that.
I know. Well, I don't know if you remember this. The show we were on, I'm not going to name this person, but the show that you and I were on a month or so ago.
We had a lever.
We had a lever. Now, I don't know if you remember this. They messaged the group and said, I have to run. I have another spot. And then after they performed, they were like, oh, I'm just picking up my mom from the airport. And I was like, and I remember I said to this person.
I think that's perfectly valid.
I said to this person, why didn't you just say that? That's a better excuse than having another spot.
A way better excuse. I'm way more sympathetic to that. It actually feels like a bigger lie, though.
Oh, you think that they weren't telling the truth about that?
Yeah.
Oh.
I forget who it was.
I'm not going to say.
I know, don't blast them, but I remember the show, and so I'm trying to go back through. Sometimes you just lose track. But.
Yeah, all I'll say is it was. I believe that person is a New York comic, is how they are known. Does that help you at all?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes,
but yeah, that's the other thing. The only reason that I was like, is because I was like, how long you been in LA? Because no one's picking people up from the airport here. You gotta picking someone up from the airport is pretty much proposing.
You might as well
marriage.
Be in a sexual relationship with them. I have to be in order to pick you up from the worst place in the world.
Yeah, anyone who ever trashes O'Hare, I'm like, you haven't seen LAX. It's a different story.
Well, you're not the one thing about O'Hare is you get to the train really easy and bop into town.
Absolutely.
It's so much easier to get out of there. Having to deal with LAX traffic is just the worst. Burbank is where it's at. You can fly into Burbank, but not good for you. Great for me.
Amazing for you.
Perfect for me.
I feel like the theme of this podcast is good for you. It's not great for me.
Right.
Unless it's pudding, in which case it is.
Pudding, great for everyone.
It's great for everyone.
And accents.
Accents and pudding. I hate to do this, but are you ready for our final segment?
We simply must.
I know. We simply must. So this is the lightning round. This is 5 fast questions. They do not at all have to be fast answers. They are the last 5 questions we end every episode with.
Great.
And I use this because it makes me feel like a late night talk show host.
And are these the same every time?
Same every time. I know.
So all the Moroccans, they know.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to know this segment. Yeah.
Shout out to Rabat. Shout out to Casablanca.
So those are 2 of the 3. The other one, oh my God, where's the third city that we have a lot of folks in? It's Rabat, Casablanca, and what is the capital?
Rabat.
Damn it! What is the third biggest city there?
Casablanca.
What is the second biggest city? Oh my God.
I'm trying to think.
Oh my gosh, you're the geography whiz over here, the cartographer.
Those are the 2 big ones. Those are the ones everybody knows.
All right. I'm gonna think about. I'm gonna remember as soon as we end this pod.
Of course.
It's gonna be amazing. Question 1: what is a favorite ritual of yours? So, for example, I love brewing tea in the morning.
A good ritual of mine is to. I'm not even like in love with coffee.
Sure.
But my ritual is to walk the half mile to my coffee shop, Brew, which is 1.5 mile from my house, and I walk my half mile back. But I always see my dude Brent,
Brent to Brew,
my barista, and I believe the owner of Brew, and I always talk baseball with him for approximately 2 minutes. We check in with some baseball talk, which I don't get anywhere else. So it's nice.
You're not getting it here.
No, it's a little bit of small talk with him. I go, how the Giants doing? Oh, they're doing all right. Oh, Reds just got swept. See you later, dude. And I walk back, and by that point, I have walked a mile, and I feel like I got my day going.
Do you finish the coffee by the time you get home?
Not always. Usually not. Usually I'm arriving home with some.
Okay.
But the ice is usually near melted.
I was gonna say, well, it's a cold brew, right?
Black cold brew.
All right. Question 2: what is a running bit you have with a friend or partner that makes you laugh?
Not to uncork a big, long story. I'm not going to tell the big long story.
You can. We're not in a rush.
I'm not. I'm going to give you the very short spark notes. One of my very best buddies growing up in Cincinnati that I credit with really getting me started in doing music and comedy.
What's amazing?
I would write a bunch of goofy songs with. He recently passed away. I'm going back to Cincinnati next weekend for his funeral. R.I.P. Seth. Why did you drink so much?
We love Seth. I'm sorry to hear that.
Great dude. Loved to drink until he died.
Yeah. At least he died doing something he loved.
He died doing something he loved.
Yeah.
And was addicted to and couldn't stop. Love you, Seth, but he would get a kick out of that.
Whew, boy, okay, yeah.
He'd get a kick out of that. But one time, when I was moving to Chicago, the week before I moved, they threw me a big going away party in Cincinnati downtown, and we were robbed home invasion style at gunpoint by 3 dudes that busted in and robbed us. And it is a whole long story, but it culminates with us kind of humanizing ourselves by talking to the guy and getting some of our possessions back. Like, he let me keep my house keys, he let me keep my driver's license. As they were leaving, the guys were like, don't fucking move. We're not done with you guys. Like, we're not done. We'll be back. If I saw that you moved, I'll have to fucking kill you, and we don't want to do that to you. So, and he says, remember, don't fuck with TH. And then he leaves, and we're like, what does that mean? Like, what is TH? I don't know. We sat there forever, and the running gag is he would always go, the way he broke the silence was he went, at least they didn't make us suck their dicks. And so every once in a while, for years afterwards, we would exchange texts just out of the blues. We would just write, don't fuck with TH.
Oh,
as like a, how you doing kind of thing. Like, don't fuck with TH. I'd be like, oh, don't fuck with TH, man.
And you never found out what that meant.
I told that story on stage in Cincinnati, and someone came up to me afterwards and was like, TH was a really well-known drug, like, kingpin. So that,
are you kidding?
Whether that's true or not, someone came up and said that to me in Cincinnati after a show, after years of not knowing what that meant. We assumed it was like, is it your initials or is that your...
That's what I thought. That was his name was...
Don't fuck with TH.
That's unbelievable.
But that was the running gag for it. Well, the gag's done now.
Hey, wasn't there a third guy in the apartment when you got mugged?
There was, but he didn't get it as bad.
All right, question 3. What is a very controversial opinion that you have?
My controversial opinion is that driving in LA has turned me into a monster. right?
Okay.
And I now, like when I first moved to LA, people in LA, when you're driving around, are fucking animals. They're animals. Like you're stopped at a red light and you're like, someone will go up on a fucking curb and go through a parking lot in order to like avoid waiting at a light to turn right. Like that, I'm like, that guy's an animal.
Correct.
You know what I mean? And people will cut you off at every chance they get. I have now, my controversial opinion is I don't have as much of a problem with those people as I do with indecisive, slow turtle drivers where I'm like, I am giving you the room to get in and you're not doing, like, do I have to get out of my car and like guide your, like, it makes me infinitely more pissed off when someone is an indecisive driver than a monster cut you off driver. I'd rather have that person put me in danger with their recklessness than a grandma not merging fast enough for me. Makes me way more pissed off.
I love that opinion.
It's an unpopular opinion.
And I'm here for it.
My wife does not like that. I will like be like, look, that guy needed to get somewhere.
Yeah, he's going places.
He's making a choice.
Yeah, he's driving for Uber Eats and he's late to deliver.
Exactly. And this guy right over here, I'm flashing. If I have to have time to flash with my brights, come.
Oh, yeah.
I'm letting you in. Go.
She gets really upset
I
when I
give
do
you
that.
away. Oh, my blood boils. I hate it.
She hates when I do the flicker, or if I do the little soft honk. They're like, "Hey, let's go."
You should have two honks. There should be a fuck you honk, and there should be a hey, it's green. It's green now. Hey, not being a jerk. It's green now.
You should know.
You should
I
know.
also want to have a little thing, like a little button that like I can have a little loudspeaker because sometimes, like the other day,
you want to hey. Can you go now?
Not even that. The other day, I sneezed and accidentally hit the horn, and I just wanted to like get on the loudspeaker. Yeah, I want to go. I am so sorry about that. I was sneezing. You're doing great, you know. But there's no way to do that.
You should be able to have a polite. Hey, sorry. Hey, my bad.
Just me back here.
That woman's on me.
Yeah. Ooh. So sorry. All right. Question 4. Have you ever experienced imposter syndrome? And if so, is there one moment that sticks out for you?
Yeah, I worked at SNL for a year, and yes, the whole time you're just like, oh God, what have I gotten myself into?
But I feel like they say everyone feels that the entire time they're there.
It's true, but yeah, I in general, I think imposter syndrome is a good thing to feel, and rarely do I think you like. I think it means that you care and that you're like, you shouldn't let it handcuff you to the radiator, but like I think feeling like, oh my God, am I really, I think there's some humility that comes with that. That's a good thing.
Yeah, it's funny. I had this sounds like a name drop. It's not at all. I interviewed a woman named Philippa Sue who originated one of the roles in Hamilton, and she's won I believe several Tonys and a Grammy, something like that. And I asked her this question, and she goes, I'm still waiting for people to be like, how did you get these roles?
Yeah,
and
I
I'm
feel like that too.
Are you fucking, I was like
what will it take for you to feel validation?
Yeah, I was like, is Leo feeling this?
I think that it's probably like I said, I think it shows some humility, but it's like sometimes it's the people who they like if they've embraced the fake it till you make it so much that they're like, you really believe that they don't ever feel imposter syndrome, where I'm like, you're a lunatic.
Yeah,
you're out of your mind, and you absolutely don't believe, you know, it's the people that need to feel it that don't feel it.
I think that's how it always is.
That's how it always is.
Final question for you, and I feel like I'm going to ask you, typically I say, what's your favorite tea or comfort, but you're a tea drinker, I think. You've drank your favorite of tea. What is your favorite tea? Or have you not?
I'm not.
Really? But as a singer, I feel like you must drink tea.
Whenever I was sick growing up, my grandma would always come over, and she would always give me sassafras tea.
What is sassafras tea?
Oh, it's just like an old people tea. Sassafras, it's got kind of like, it's got almost like, this isn't even right, but in my brain, it reminds me of the same kind of adjacent flavor to like a root beer. It has a bit of a like, I don't even know. It's not sweet.
Licorice-y kind of?
Nah. It's weird, but it's like an old person tea. But my grandma would always say, oh, you're feeling sick? You got to have some sassafras tea. Here's some sassafras tea.
Interesting.
So sassafras tea growing up would be what my grandma would always give me, which I'm sure like dries you out. Like I'm sure it's like
it's probably something terrible.
This is how white trash I grew up. My mom, when I was sick, like I was home from school with a fever, she would give me Sprite. She would be like, "Here's that's much."
Did it work?
No, that's just sugar.
I mean, but maybe that's what. Here's the thing. When I had bronchitis and pneumonia,
right,
the only thing I could keep down, this is going to sound really weird, was pineapple and strawberry kiwi Gatorade, which was all just sugary shit, but it made me feel better.
If whatever lie you needed to tell yourself that like this is helping me, it's like that's same with like Sprite and sassafras tea for me. I'm like, oh, sassafras tea has healing properties.
Have you had it as an adult ever?
I don't know that I have. I think probably the last time I had it, I was probably a teenager.
Okay, well, for everyone listening at home, I'll give you Luke's home address, and they can all just ship you sassafras tea.
Look, dox me, baby. I want that sassafras tea because, look.
To get doxed for sassafras tea, that would be the first, I think, that has ever happened.
The first guy that ever got doxed with sassafras tea as a alternative to getting the vax during COVID.
Oh, my God.
You just do sassafras tea, you'll be good.
You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, forget ivermectin. Get some sassafras tea.
OD on sassafras. It's got healing properties.
I kind of want to try it now. I know that's not the point of this, but I kind of want to try it.
I say jump in.
I'll let you know.
It's good. It's got an herbal quality to it. I don't know.
Well,
Maybe
that's the pod, man. How do you feel?
I feel great. I still feel like I should have got shrimp and grits.
I'm going to tell you, this is probably going to go down in history as one of the biggest misses on the Newly Framed game.
How often does someone get it?
I'm kidding, by the way. I would say I usually, maybe like 45% or maybe like 65% of the time I can get one. My man, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. Big ups to Seth.
That was Anthony Davis. You can find him on Instagram and TikTok at ADComedy28. This episode was produced by Dylan Rosenthal. It was edited by Martin Alvarez. Our theme song and additional music are by Oliver Hymack. Our cover art was done by Neil Fraser with photography by Matt Mazisco. Social media by Dia Villegas. Please write a review and rate our podcast on Apple Podcasts and wherever else you can. You can send any questions, comments, Newly Friend game suggestions, or tea suggestions to steepcombos@gmail.com or tweet us at steepconvos. I'm Josh Lanzette, and you can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at Josh Lanzette. We'll be back next week, so until then, happy steeping. I saw a guy, he had his right turn still on, went to take a right, swerved back, realized it was the wrong right, did this 3 times in a row, and I'm like, I will get out of this car, and I'll run you right over.
I'm going to kill you with my car.
Yeah.